All right, welcome back, my friends. The moderation thing popped up, so uh, okay. Well, today we're gonna do stand up in a fallen world. Uh, Say I don't know what part it is. I'll have to look it up. Part 72. No, just kidding. We're still in chapter 3, I think. Basically, there's 5 chapters in the book, and basically, chapter 3 is kind of big, like 20 pages, and then the next chapter could be like 20 pages, and then the next one 20 pages, something like that. So I'm taking my time through it. Thing is, sometimes I feel like I can't do this. It's not. I don't know, but I don't feel that right now, so I'm good. So God bless you, and let's look at this thing. So we're going to be talking about the handwriting on the wall, and this is in Daniel chapter 5. Uh, all right, so let's go. So the handwriting on the wall. In the same hour, fingers of a man's hand appeared and wrote upon the plaster of the wall of the king's palace. How dare he? Nah, just kidding, man. You can't stop this supernatural. He and wrote upon the plaster of the wall of the king's palace, and the king saw the part of the hand that wrote. Then the king's countenance, his behavior, his face, changed, and his thoughts troubled him, so that the joints of his loins were loosed. Does that mean that he like peed his pants or something? I'm just saying. Uh, or worse. Um, okay. And his knees smote against one another. Daniel chapter 5 and 6. The hand appeared writing on the wall strange letters, strange words. Belshazzar at the looked at the supernatural hand, and his loins were loosed, and his knees began to hit against one another. He was really shaken up. Oh, hello, um, Kiras. Um, your name is Myla. Myla. Did I get that? Okay. All right. Next verse here, or not verse. It's the next paragraph. What does that say? Belshazzar demanded. His men and counselors, the wise men and counselors. What does it mean? But they didn't know. The king cried and to bring in the astrologers and the Chaldeans and the soothsayers, and the king spoke and said to the wise men, whoever shall read the writing and show me the interpretation, thereof, shall be clothed with scarlet, and have a chain of gold about his neck, and shall be the third ruler of the kingdom. He wasn't. Belshazzar was only the second ruler. His, I think his uncle or something like that was the first ruler. Now, I forgot the name of the dude, but yeah, I think it's like starts with the M, Nabalis or something like that. The third ruler of the kingdom. Then came all the king's wise men, but they could not read the writing, nor make it known to the kings the interpretation thereof. You know what? You really don't want to know this interpretation. You're not going to want to know this. You say you want to know it, but you're really not going to want to know it once you hear it. Finally, the queen mother answered Belshazzar, "When your grandfather reigned, there was a man from Israel in whom dwelt the spirit of the holy God. He was able to tell your grandfather the dream and give him the understanding." Now, first of all, he should have been first. The first thing, when he was honestly, he was filled with God's spirit, and he had the ability to interpret dreams and give the interpretation. You know, so they called for Daniel, who was now an old man. When Daniel had first arrived in Babylon, did he was a teenager. Now he was almost 90 years old. "I heard about you from my grandfather," Belshazzar said. "I know that you were able to interpret his dreams. What does the writing say? Will you tell me what it says? I will give you a chain of gold around your neck, royal apparel, and elevate you to the third in the kingdom." Hold on. Honestly, he's way more elevated than that, and you're gonna see that in as you go in the book of Daniel. Honestly, so his father, I will elevate you to the third in the kingdom. His father and he were the first, so he could only give Daniel the third place in the kingdom. How you doing, Angel? Keep your presence. I tell you what it says. Right away, he knows. Probably didn't even look at it. Maybe he looked at it. You know what I mean? He already knew. He already knew. God told him in advance, probably. All right. Keep your money, right? Keep your presence. I'll tell you what it says. But first of all, I must tell you something. God gave your grandfather a tremendous kingdom. He ruled the world. He had wealth and honor and glory was given to him by God. Wow. But when he was lifted up with pride, God made him insane until he realized that God rules. That God rules. Belshazzar, you knew all this, and yet you had the audacity to bring the gold and the silver vessels from the temple of Jerusalem. You drank out of these vessels and praising your gods, the gods of gold and silver, basically. The God in whose hand whose hand your very breath is. You have not glorified you've worshipped false gods. So this is important. Do not worship false gods. Find out who the true God is and worship him. I have found out for myself that the true God is Jesus, right? All right. I want you to find out for yourself. Jesus died on the cross, and it was buried and rose up on the third day, right? He took your sin and my sin on the cross, and he paid the price so that you can be set free, so that you can live with him forever in heaven, right? But you have to realize it. And then you have to tell God that you have sinned and come short of the glory of God. You have to tell God that you can't meet his standards. He's in heaven. There's no way you can meet his standard. He sent his own son to live the sinless, perfect life so that you could be in heaven. Only Jesus could live the perfect, sinless life. No one else on earth has been able to do that. Yes, there's 10 commandments. Yes, there is. And we should follow it. But honestly, without Jesus, it's impossible. All right. Let's continue. Let's continue. Next one. So your very breath. Think about it. Daniel's statement was pretty serious. The God in whose hand your breath is. We have what are known as voluntary and involuntary muscles. Our voluntary muscles are attached to our skeleton by tendons. They are controlled by our brain. One day on the pulpit, I found a little blue notebook, that someone had left, and my brain said, pick it up and show it to the people. So my brain sent my orders to my voluntary muscle to pick it up and show it to them. This was all controlled by my brain. It was done by voluntary muscles. But we also have involuntary muscles. They are not attached to the skeleton, nor are they controlled by our brains. One of the involuntary muscles is the heart. Another involuntary muscle is the lung. We don't have to think to make our hearts beat. Oh, my back is a little bit. God didn't give us control over those because he knew we'd forget about and we'd be dead. So we'd forget about breathing. And I think about when I'm totally asleep, and I just took a sleeping pill last night, like a half of one, because I hadn't been sleeping well at all. And I couldn't imagine. I could not tell my lungs to breathe or my heart to pump. I was so gone. It was like I was a zombie or some. Anyway, yeah, trust me, we don't have the ability for those muscles. Okay, so God controls our lives. He is the God whose hand your very breath is. We depend on God for our next breath. Okay, hold on. I'm thinking about this, and then I'm thinking we should look up this verse. Okay, so let's go Ezekiel. If you know where I'm going in Ezekiel, you know. Well, you should probably know. Like, what are you doing, Jason? Well, actually, I'm not 100% sure where it is. Okay, here we go. Maybe we'll read some of this chapter in verse 37, okay? But the hand of the Lord came upon me and brought me, that's Ezekiel, out in the spirit of the Lord and set me down in the midst of the valley. So it wasn't in his physical form. It was in his spirit form, I think. Right? And, And it was full of bones. Then he caused, hold on. He caused me to pass by them all around, and behold, there were very many in the valley, and indeed there were very dry bones. And he said to me, Son of man, can these bones live? So I answered, O Lord God, you know. You're in charge of the bones, even my bones. Again, he said to me, prophesy to these bones and say to them, O dry bones, hear the word of the Lord. Thus says the word to these bones, surely I will cause breath to enter into you, and you shall live. I will put sinews on you and bring flesh upon you and cover you with skin and put breath in you, and you shall live. Then you shall know that I am the Lord. Whoa. 1 million this year, eh? That's awesome. Lopez, 10,000. Well, that's cool. I'm glad that you were able to do that, man. God bless you. How can you send me $1 million, buddy? I don't know how to. I have to have a certain amount of users in order to be able to do that kind of thing. And even if I had it, you still have to have the views, even if you had the users. Well, okay. Thank you, Tiffany. Well, okay. There it is. And then he prophesied, and they came forth from the four winds, and he breathed, and everything happened. And there was a great army that came forth out of it. Just out of God's word. Well, if you're serious about it, I don't know what I can do about that. Hold on a second. Let me finish this. Now here was a crowd whose breath was foul with the smell of wine, They were drunk, but still God controlled their breath. The God in whose hand your very breath is, you have not glorified. So what do you think is going to happen to them? Do you think peace is going to happen to them? No. The opposite. And we're going to find out next time. Okay. So we'll stop here. And yeah. So next time is this one. It's a lot of, pages left. I want to take my time. Let me talk to my wife really quick. Tiffany Lopez, 5258. Okay. Well, if you're really serious about this, maybe you can contact me. Send me a message in the thing if you're actually serious about it. But if not, it's okay, man. God bless you with $1 million. Even if you don't have $1 million, may God bless you with $1 million. But may you use it for kingdom purposes. Okay? May you bless the church that you go to. All right? Make it a priority. Have a good day.